So, jadi officially udah 29 hari setelah my first dose of Paroxetine, SSRIs. Menurut ko, 100% membantu. Tapi, seperti dokternya bilang, gua mungkin butuh 3 bulan untuk maksimum benefits. Tapi gak 100% membantu sih, 100%, lebih dari 100%. Dan gue yakin banget gue mau lanjutin untuk sepanjang hidup gue selamanya. Dan ya, itu udah fixed dan I'm very convinced. Dan sejujurnya, I should have been on it as soon as possible. Bahkan when I was 5 years old, 3 years old. Sejujurnya, tapi I guess it wasn't in my cards. Dan gue juga nggak tahu the full information. Jadi the full context, mungkin gue nggak dapet access. Jadi ya, it is what it is. Dan ya, intinya it's a great decision dan sesuatu yang sebenarnya juga 100% must be celebrated karena itu it's a huge step, it's a giant step, and it's positive, and I'm never going back, you know. Dan ya, tapi aku tahu itu SSRI itu kayak Putara earrings yang compound and exponentiate my essentially CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy skills, dan diperkalikan atau dieksponensialikan dengan my exposure therapy skills. Itu CBT itu essentially deconstructing, dismantling your thoughts and beliefs and values dan menggantikan distortions dalam pikiran menjadi yang lebih rasional. Dan ya, semua perasaan negatif, anxiety, and depression itu sebenarnya berasal dari pikiran distortions yang gak rasional. Terus itu harus diperkalikan dengan exposure therapy, yaitu perlahan-lahan expose yourself to more intense situations that cause you to flare up. Jadi ya, dan harus perlahan-lahan. It has to be gradual and steady and maybe slow. Dan ya, dan gue udah melakukan semua itu, both CBT and exposure, dan progresnya udah asli. Dan even my family, my brother, my parents, semuanya katanya aku tuh udah improve. Secara jelas, dan gue merasa banget itu 100%, lebih dari 100%. Gue yakin banget. Yeah. It's not all sunshines and rainbows though, because side effects-nya minggu pertama itu parah banget. Itu nausea, gue gak bisa makan, dan insomnia, gue selalu bangun. Insomnia kalau sekarang sih masih, gue selalu bangun ya jam 4, jam 5, kadang jam 2. Jadi intinya 2 kali per malam atau sekali per malam gue biasanya selalu bangun terus tidur, langsung tidur kayak 5-10 menit. Gue gak terlalu sadar juga sih perlahan lama-lama. Tapi awalnya minggu pertama gue selalu gak bisa tidur selama sejam, dan gue harus kayak meyakini diri gue kalau I'm doing this because I'm on SSRIs. Dan gue bersyukur banget, I'm so grateful bisa dapat akses. Karena itu privilege yang besar, gue sadar. Karena itu juga disubsidize sama government, jadi jauh lebih murah dan lebih accessible. Gue bersyukur banget, karena menurutku itu berkat dari Tuhan. Ya. Dan ini kayak sesuatu decision yang sangat susah, karena nobody in my family knows about this stuff. Dan ini sesuatu yang sebenarnya it's a large, giant step forward for me. Karena ini udah, it's like a save point that's so powerful. Dan gak semudah itu untuk bisa menentukan kalau ini it's the right choice. It's absolutely the right choice. Dan itu susah untuk benar-benar tahu. Dan gue benar-benar tahu sekarang. It's a lifelong, permanent decision to be on it. Dan I'm grateful, gue bersyukur banget bisa diberkati Tuhan untuk bisa ketemu sampai sini gitu. It's a huge blessing menurutku, and I'm grateful. Dan yeah, it makes everything in my life easier, every aspect, every part. Dan gue bisa perlahan-lahan nge-reverse the damage and the lost time and the traumas. And yeah, I've gone along a very, very long way forward, and I'm grateful. I've made so much progress. And yeah. Then talking about the future, I'm gonna continue being on it for the rest of my life. It's a permanent decision. It's fixed. I'm convinced 100%. And yeah, selain itu sih, that's the positive side. The negative side is that I need to continue, well, it's not super negative, but I need to continue using CBT, continue developing my CBT skills and exposure therapy, continuously doing exposure therapy. And yes, it requires persistence and perseverance. And yeah, gue agak butuh bantuan sebenarnya untuk keluar setiap hari dan ketemu orang dan melakukan exposure therapy. Dan gue melakukan itu perlahan-lahan, dan gue udah I've made so much progress in just 1 month. In this 1 month on the SSRIs, then everything combined the last 3 years. Jadi yeah, menurut gue, and I'm not exaggerating, I'm honestly not exaggerating, I'm not. Jujur, I'm 100% not exaggerating. It's literal. It's not a metaphor. I'm literally saying it's more than the combined progress I've made the past 3 years. It's crazy. Yeah, that's why I gotta be on it permanently, because it's the right choice for me personally, and I've made the decision on my own, and it's the right choice for me. And I'm grateful that I'm blessed enough to be privileged to get on this path, because it's not guaranteed. It's not, I wasn't guaranteed to be on this path and to get access to this information. It's a blessing, A huge one. But yeah, it's mostly what I wanted to report. I haven't had any side effects like gaining weight. My appetite's better, which is good. It's more normal. And yeah, I guess the second and third week, there's no more nausea, but there's, I'd say, fatigue. The first week is a little brutal, in my opinion. It's like, especially the first day and the first 3 days is quite brutal. Especially the nausea. I could not eat any meat, but overall, I could still eat anything that's like fast food or sugar. It's so easy. And I think that's one of the reasons why people gain so much weight on SSRIs, is because it feels good. It feels so good, and it's so easy to just put stuff in your mouth and still feel good. It's so much better than before when I wasn't on it. And yeah, but I also noticed I'm way less impulsive. I'm more in control of everything. I'm more resilient. Yeah, I don't get panic attacks. I don't get in the fight freeze response or fawn response. It's better. It's so much better. Yeah. I don't panic, you know. Unlike before, I can calm down. I'm relaxed in social situations that previously I would just be tense and on guard and panicky and just not happy and stressed out. But now I'm not, and it's crazy. I'm not saying it's automatic, like I don't need to do the CBT or exposure, because absolutely, before I did the exposure, like before I actually dived in and did it, like going outside and stuff, I would feel the intense anxiety, but only in my thoughts, you know. It didn't have the heartbeat, the rapid heartbeat, the, you know, the physical symptoms, but I had the mental symptoms of anxiety, like worrying. So that's the part CBT is for in this solution. And yes, being on SSRIs just exponentiates the CBT and exposure, because previously, before I was on it, I already did so much CBT and exposure. I read so many books, everything, but it just wouldn't. I missed the Patara earrings, which it was SSRIs. That's the key, you know, the final piece. It's 3 pieces: the SSRIs, the CBT, and the exposure. Those 3 are the keys to my anxiety and depression and everything about my trauma from Bapreti and everything onwards, you know, social anxiety and everything. It's all in those 3 things: SSRIs, CBT, exposure. And I feel like they're all equally important. It's not like CBT is better than exposure or vice versa, or SSRIs is as well. 3 of them are equally important. Yeah. Because you can't just do CBT without the exposure, and vice versa. If you did the exposure without CBT, you'd still have the wrong distortions that would be the root cause of your negative feelings, you know? Vice versa. If you did CBT but you didn't do the exposure, you would still not completely rewire your amygdala in your brain, and you wouldn't get the full, complete picture and information and the experience you need to rewire your brain, which is what you need to do to fix your, you know, distortions and anxiety and depression and all the wrong things in your brain. And fix your PFC, prefrontal cortex, and the hippocampus. You know, honestly, I think my PFC and hippocampus is much larger now, and I think it reduced in volume. It got smaller the past few years, my whole life. Honestly, it's kind of, I'm not ashamed anymore to admit that basically I was essentially honestly depressed and anxious my whole life. And I needed help since I was like 3 years old, to be honest. And I've avoided getting help for the longest time of my life because I thought it was protecting me and my family, my parents, but it backfired. It was just me shooting myself in the foot, and I should have been on SSRIs as soon as possible, and honestly getting on therapy, which I should still try to do, to be honest. Like, I'm not on therapy. I'm just doing my own CBT and reading the books and doing my own exposure therapy and designing my own exposure therapy, and it's great. But I realize, like, it could probably be easier if I had access to therapy with a real person. I've only had one, which was Ian, and it was not what I needed. I needed a real, not to be rude, but she was kind of a fraud, She was like an Andrew Tate type of person, like a motivational speaker, to be honest. It was just I needed a real, licensed professional that was actually experienced and an expert in dealing with my type of trauma and anxiety and depression and everything. And she was not it at all. So it's whatever. My family didn't have the access to the knowledge and information they needed to help me, and it's fine, But yeah, in terms of the future, again, just reiterating, I'm gonna be on it forever. But yeah, I need to continuously develop my CBT and exposure, because that's like the 3 points that I need. 2 of the 3 points that I need. And yeah, I feel like it's a never-ending process. There's no final destination. It's just continuously doing the CBT, like learning new CBT skills, doing it every day, like a daily quest, and continuously doing exposure therapy every day. Yeah, that's just a general direction that I need to take. Yeah, I guess I could talk about my struggles with CBT and exposure. I've been using ChatGPT for the CBT. It's 100% useful. I've also been journaling every day on Notion. It's a great new routine, and I think it's a habit now. I've been doing it for 3 months. And then, yeah, exposure. To be honest, I'm a little struggling with the exposure, but I feel like, again, like, if you want to do exposure, you need stronger CBT and vice versa. I feel like you need CBT to be like, just get the balls to dive in and dive out and do the exposure. Because sometimes I noticed before, like, I'll just be honest, I'm not gonna be ashamed of this. the first three weeks I was on SSRIs, I was afraid. I was still anxious about going outside, doing simple things, going to the gym, grocery stores, the trams, outside, everything. It wasn't 0% anxiety. I had anxiety, even though it was small, tiny, like 30%. I was 30% anxious. I wasn't calm. It's not normal, you know? Like, why would you be 30% anxious in normal situations, you know? And I just got on the SSRIs and I still had it, but then I did the exposure and then it just went away, you know? So it's like you need to do the exposure. If you didn't do the exposure and you already had the right thoughts, the right CBT, you're not gonna completely be anxiety free, which I am now, you know, at least in these situations, right? And I still have anxiety about bigger things, like maybe public speaking, right? But again, like if I just did the exposure and the CBT, it would go away after I did the action, you know? So again, the point is do the CBT and exposure. But again, from my experience, the past month on SSRIs, I would say you will feel intense anxiety before and during the exposure. But if you had better CBT, it would be easier. Like if you had all this, you did CBT work for every possible thought you would have that would cause those negative thoughts or feelings, and you prepared beforehand, you would have an easier time, you would have less anxiety during the exposure therapy, which we need to completely erase the anxiety. So yeah, that's the cost of the exposure therapy. You need to do the exposure therapy to completely erase and eliminate the anxiety. After that exposure therapy, you'll stop having the anxiety, or it will gradually reduce, and maybe sometimes you need to repeat the process a couple times to really like rewire your brain, because it takes time. So for example, it took me a couple retries, repeats. Like I had to go to the gym again, in the grocery store again, to the trams again, to the libraries again, a couple times before I completely had close to 0% anxiety. But each time it reduces, you know? And yeah, it takes time. And sometimes you need to repeat it. But I assure you, if you repeated it enough times, and if enough time has passed and you did CBT and exposure, you will get 0% anxiety at some point eventually, which is the goal. So it's important to know that it's not, you've made progress is what I'm saying. If you did it, there is real progress, and it's also permanent progress. Like you're not gonna suddenly go back to more anxious state. Like it's just a positive journey. Like I feel like you're not gonna experience something bad that will actually make you more anxious. Like you'll just realize each time you go, nothing bad happens, and the CBT and exposure works, and each time your anxiety will reduce, and eventually it will be 0% anxiety if you repeated it enough and did more CBT and exposure. At least that's my experience with my current things that I've mastered. And then you'll master those things and you'll move on to the next thing that's still making you it's still a challenge for you. And yeah, so I've made a lot of progress this month on SSRIs, and I've made so much more because I'm on it. But yeah, so again, the goal is to continue doing this CBT and exposure, continue being on it, SSRIs, and then yeah, I'd say if I got help, it would be faster, because there were days where I did not do the exposure, or I did not do the CBT and stuff, and I got busy with other responsibilities like exams and studying. So if I got more like a cleaner, tidier, more smarter, more expert designed plan from a professional therapist or mental health medicine person, I would have an easier time, more streamlined experience, and a smoother process. Because this is like self-help, this is like do it yourself, and it's kind of a do-it-yourself process for me with the CBT and exposure therapy. And it's kind of, I guess, harder than if I had that help, so it would be a smoother, easier, faster process. And yeah, I deserve that help, but at the moment I don't know where to reach out. So yeah, but with time I'll probably figure it out, and I'll probably get the help I need. But at the moment I'm just doing my own CBT and exposure therapy and designing it on my own, and slowly but gradually, slowly and steadily making progress, real progress that I haven't been doing all my life because I wasn't on SSRIs. And honestly speaking, I've been doing CBT and exposure the past years, but I wasn't on SSRIs. And I have some time to grieve that a little bit, because there's always regret of like, what if I was on SSRIs? I would be, all the CBT and exposure therapy at work I've done would have been exponentiated much sooner and compounded, and technically I would be in a better position at this moment in time, but I wasn't on it. But then again, like, how would I have had access to the knowledge and information to make that decision to get on the SSRIs? I couldn't expect myself to know that, it wasn't in my cards, and so I shouldn't assume that I should have known that. And I should be grateful now that I'm on it, But yeah, if I had known, if I had access to it, if I was lucky and privileged and blessed enough, then yes, I would say like now, I should have been on it my whole life, as early as possible. But, I don't know the true value of even having access to this knowledge and information. I can't just assume that's a given, a guarantee. Like, I should assume this is a privilege to even have access to this knowledge and information, that I should be on SSRIs, because that's not common knowledge at all. So yes, this is CBT. It's a distortion to expect that to be a given, that I know that I should have been on SSRIs, right? Because it's not common knowledge. It's not common knowledge. It's not general knowledge. It's not easily known to the public. So I shouldn't have known that I should have been on it. And that's fine, because I'm on it now. You know, I don't know the true value of that knowledge, of how difficult and hard it is to have access to that knowledge, how rare it is, you know, how privileged it is to have that. So I can't assume that I should have known. And yeah, so I couldn't, if I didn't know, I couldn't have made the decision to get on. So yeah. But I've made a significant checkpoint, save point in this progress. And yeah, that's my this is my first vlog, blog journal of my journey in my mental health thing. And I've been doing a lot of like recordings, video recordings and voice recordings, but this is my first one on SSRIs, at least a video journal. I've done a lot of like 3 voice journals and my voice memos. Yeah, I've made a lot of progress, and yeah, maybe I'll do a YouTube series on how I'm like my progress on SSRIs, because I've been studying a lot of SSRIs. You know, I did like 50 hours of study on SSRIs before I got on it, right? So I had to work to get the information and knowledge that I needed to make this decision to get on SSRIs, because it was a huge decision, and I'm grateful that I made the right one, which was to get on it, and that I have now access to knowledge and information of like all its side effects, everything, and other people's experiences, the good ones, the bad ones, and what I need to be aware of, because it's not like all rainbows and sunshines and everything in your life is easy now, and you don't need to do the CBT and exposure and it's effortless. No, but it's completely the right choice, and it makes everything easier, even though it doesn't make you like, it doesn't solve every problem in your life, but it makes every problem in your life easier to solve. So it makes every part of your life easier and better, and makes you a better person, a better student, better family member, better son, better brother, better worker, better everything, you know? So a healthier person, it improves your mental health and well-being. There's nothing wrong with that, you know? All those things. And it's all possible because I had access to this knowledge and information, and then I made the decision to get on it. And I struggled through the process of getting the information. I spent all that time and energy and attention, and then I got on it, and then I fought through all the side effects like nausea and insomnia and waking up in the middle of the night 2-3 times, and not being able to sleep instantly, immediately after, sometimes having to wait 1 hour in the middle of 3 a.m. just to sleep again, losing REM sleep and stuff like that, yawning in the middle of the day, and so on. But yeah, I put in effort, I struggled, and I got a profit or reward, and I'm happier, I'm satisfied, I'm content. Yeah, everything is better. So yeah, I'm grateful for this checkpoint. The future is just continuing exposure in CBT. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then with the exposure, I feel like I need to be aware that I have kind of like a selective mutism thing that I haven't rewired. And it's gonna take time to rewire. But I know I can do it. Based on my 1 month experience on SSRIs, doing the CBT and exposure, of my accumulated experience and knowledge of CBT and exposure, I know I can get over this hurdle, but it's gonna take time, and I can make it smoother and faster if I focus on it every day and sacrifice other distractions, and yes, put all of my energy concentrated to doing the exposure and CBT instead of being distracted with other things like video games, films, movies, Netflix, whatever, YouTube, music. And yeah, being able to honestly do enough CBT to reach out for more help, because I know, like, honestly speaking, if I had help, the CBT and exposure is going to be easier. So like, if I had a serious intervention to get people to help me do the exposure therapy more structured, in a more structured way, and a more like a very detailed and thorough plan, like a series of steps that's very designed, but also like flexible and easily adaptable to my needs, to find the sweet spot of what's not overwhelming exposure, but also not too tiny that it doesn't make enough progress. So finding the sweet spot is difficult. It's hard to find the sweet spot of what's big enough exposure. It's not overwhelming, but also makes a lot of progress and finding what works, what I need to, figuring out what I need to do every day. Because at the moment, I don't really know. I don't really have a plan for my exposure. Like, I haven't designed what I need to do today, tomorrow, and so on with the exposure. Like, I don't know where I am with my exposure therapy journey. And I've said exposure is one of the 3 key points to this healing journey. So yeah, it's gonna take time to do that and figuring out what I need to do in my exposure, because it's never clear where I am with my exposure. And then I have to do the CBT of like, oh, yada yada yada, because sometimes my CBT is also weak. Like, I have to convince myself that, oh, this is my journey, oh, I shouldn't expect myself to be further ahead, I shouldn't expect myself for this to take less time, yada yada yada. There's a lot of distortions that I need to CBT up, and that also takes time and energy. So again, it's just everything takes time, and sometimes I fall to that trap, to those distortions, and then I lose time to make progress in my exposure at CBT. But yeah, like, it's just sometimes I just need to take it slow, give myself more time. Sometimes I fall to the distortions, and like, I'm not completely immune, but I'm way more resilient than before when I wasn't on the SSRIs. But I'm not immune to these like mental traps and distortions. Sometimes I get into a mental spiral, and then I just spend the day in my bed, not doing the exposure, But then at some point I would get like a random burst of motivation and inspiration, and then I would do the exposure, and then I would be anxious during the exposure and before the exposure, but then it was like just diving into a cold water, into a cold pool. It's like after it, my anxiety reduced each time, almost to 0%. And so, yeah, like the point is like you just need to dive in sometimes. And if you had stronger CBT, you wouldn't fall into these distortions. Like you still need to fight back, you know? But it's way easier now that you've got the SSRIs. It's way easier, and you could do things that was impossible before or 100 times more difficult before. So it's important to know that, you know, to be aware and to be grateful for that, because it's not given, you know. It's not a given, it's not a guarantee, it's not something to take for granted. It's a privilege, and you know, a significant advantage and a large opportunity. So it should be maximized. But yes, I need to just continue doing the CBT and exposure, and maybe get help to streamline my exposure and CBT. Because yeah, right now I just use ChatGPT to help me with my CBT, and it is super useful. And to be honest, the reason, a big factor that I even got the information and made the decision to get on SSRIs was because of ChatGPT. Honestly, I spent like 20 hours with ChatGPT to make the decision. So, and maybe even more than that time. But yes, and I continue using ChatGPT to help me do CBT my distortions, and it helped me a lot. But yeah, anyway, I also need to be aware that everything takes time. This journey will take time, but I also need to focus and concentrate my time and energy and attention on this CBT and exposure, remove distractions, because I realize like I have limited time, limited energy. Like even now, these 40 minutes, I'm already getting tired. Like I am getting tired, and I realize like I'm slowly like, you know, I'm human. I have limits, I have stamina. My brain has a stamina, you know? Like I can't work every hour without getting tired. I'm tired now. And so like the point is, there is an opportunity cost to every decision and action, and that's why you need to remove distractions, because distractions also take away your stamina. So again, if you have more distractions, if you have more distractions, you'll have less stamina to do the CBT and exposure, which you need to do. So it costs stamina to do the CBT and exposure, and it costs stamina to do other things. And you need to realize that your stamina is a resource, a precious resource that needs to be managed and utilized for the CBT and exposure, and prioritized for the CBT and exposure. That you have this limited stamina every day before you need to rest and sleep, you know, before you get tired. And you need to be aware that this is precious. Stamina is precious, and you can't just use it on distractions like video games or films that, you know, I'm not saying they are a complete waste of time. I'm just saying you need to do the CBT and exposure, and you need to prioritize your stamina for that, and not, you know, play the video games, distractions, and then lose all your stamina and get super tired, and then you don't have any stamina to do the CBT and exposure, which you need to do. So that's what I'm saying. And sometimes you also need to be aware that you don't have infinite stamina, so you can't do a ton of CBT or exposure in one day, but you need to do it consistently every day to make consistent progress. And that's what I'm saying, like, it takes time, but you need to be consistent and you need to concentrate, and you shouldn't again lose time by losing your stamina to distractions and not using it, prioritizing your stamina for CBT and exposure is what I'm saying. And that's something that a mistake that I did this month, you know? And I know I'm human, I make mistakes, and I can't do everything perfectly, but this is something that this is knowledge that I have from experience that I can use to help me make better decisions in the future, and hopefully not make the same mistake and fall to the same trap of wasting my stamina on distractions instead of doing the CBT and exposure therapy that I need to do, that I should prioritize, but I didn't, you know? So that's a lesson. I've gained wisdom and experience, and it's fine to make the same mistake, but make the same mistake again in the future. But you know, I need to be wiser the next time and be more immune and resistant and experienced when I get into the temptation to fall into distractions that make me waste my stamina and time, you know, that I could have been using instead for my CBT and exposure. And also to realize that, like, CBT and exposure also takes a lot of time and stamina itself, so I can't expect myself to do massive progress in just one day. And I need to instead focus on being consistent every day and prioritizing it every morning, every evening, and yeah, fixing my life. I've also been doing a lot of gymming, meal prepping, and meditation, and it's helped. And yeah, everything is better on SSRIs. Yeah. That's pretty much it. I've been eating a lot of peanut butter as well. I love peanut butter. Another routine I've been doing is doing a lot of like gratitude journaling in the mornings when I have my coffee, and it's been helping. I've mostly been grateful for the SSRIs, peanut butter, and coffee, espresso. Yeah. That's pretty much it. I guess, like, my goal is to join a community, make friends, talk to more people every day. And yeah, I need to do the exposure to gradually get there. At the moment, I realize, like, I stay in my room too much. I need to find more people to interact with. And yeah, I need to slowly do that. And I can't just jump in to the final boss. I need to fight smaller minions, you know? I need to take it slower, a more slow and steady and gradual, stable progress and consistency. But yes, I'm making great progress. And yeah. So another thing that I've been planning to do is going to more groups, more clubs. I've been going to like Garam community, and then I've also tried doing the exposure therapy the past few years with Card Crew. I met Kit and Dan, and it's been a wonderful experience. I've also tried going to the gaming club, which was pretty cool, and I'm glad I did that exposure. But I guess like one thing is that I didn't go there consistently. I did not come to Card Crew consistently or the gaming club. I only came in the first week, and that's fine. I also did counseling, like 5 sessions with an Asian lady. She was nice, but it wasn't enough, especially not when I wasn't on SSRIs. It was not enough at all. But it was still exposure. It was still experience, and I'm grateful that I made that decision because it was a tiny but important step forward. And yeah, so I guess I should focus more on consistency of meeting more people, because yeah, also I feel like I need to find a way to talk to people every day, like find someone to talk to every day, because at the moment I don't. And I feel like my exposure would be easier and faster if I had someone to talk to and just gain experience. Because at the moment I feel like the things that I can do at Garam community is blocked because it's overwhelming, because I'm not doing daily practice, you know, and it's not realistic to expect myself to suddenly do exposure therapy that's way too advanced for me at the moment. Like, I know it's not crazy to meet people, but at the moment that's like honestly outside of my comfort zone, outside of my exposure therapy skills, and that's nothing to be ashamed of, but I need to be aware that it takes time to do the exposure therapy and to get to that level of comfort, which I'm not in at the moment. But I realized from this month of experience that I can do the exposure and I can do the CBT while on SSRIs. I can do significant progress. Like, I've made so much, and I'm so comfortable with going to the gym, grocery store, outside, to the trams, library. I'm comfortable now, and I know it's gonna be comfortable in the future. So even like doing this type of vlog, I wasn't comfortable before, but I am now on SSRIs, and it's because I'm doing the exposure right now. By doing this vlog, this is exposure, and I'm also doing CBT by thinking about it and getting the right thoughts and removing my distortions gradually. Yeah, and as you can see, I'm like happier and everyone's noticing it, and yes, everything's easier with SSRIs, and I'm slowly eliminating my fears and my trauma responses and my nervous system, you know, imbalances, and my fight, flight, freeze, fawn responses are slowly getting rewired and getting erased for things that don't, you know, that are faulty. And yeah, it's a slow and steady process, as you can see. And yes, anyway, I feel like it would be slower and steadier if I had like a daily talk with someone, you know. And I guess I could start with my family, like my mom and my parents, and then I've been talking more with my siblings. But yes, I feel like I need more. Let's do more CBT and more exposure. And I feel like I need more exposure. I just need to master the basics first, which is, I guess, talking to my family. So I guess I should talk to my family more every day. But then, yeah, I've also been studying a lot about selective mutism and about, I feel like that's also one of the reasons why I got an SSRIs is because I studied that, and then I realized a lot of them got help by getting on SSRIs. And so, yeah, it's just, now I just need the CBT and exposure, and I can get help because I realized they also got help with their exposure therapy. And yeah, it's just, I'm gonna get better. Something I noticed was it takes time. I forgot what I was thinking about because I'm eating peanut butter and it's so good. I love peanut butter. You know, I even got into an accident yesterday because I was so sleepy and I didn't hold on when I was on the trams, and then I hit someone. I bumped into someone, like an Indian woman, lady, and then I said sorry immediately, and I had 0% anxiety. It's crazy, you know? I conquered so many of my past anxiety triggers, you know? My past things that would cause me to go into the fight, flight, freeze, fawn state mode, but I didn't at all. No panicking. I'm so grateful, but yeah. I guess at the moment, there are things that I need to do. I also notice that I'm still awkward because I don't have social skills, because I never socialize and interact with people, because I had anxiety and depression for my whole life, and I didn't get to make a lot of friendships in my adolescence and in my teenage years and in my childhood. So, because I didn't get the help that I needed, because my parents, my family didn't have the access to the knowledge and the information they needed to help me, yada yada yada. I wasn't on SSRIs, yada yada yada. Whatever. The past is in the past. You don't cry over spilled milk. But at the moment, I still need to develop my social skills because I'm so awkward. Even though I already have the motivation and I want to improve my social skills, I want to be smooth. I don't want to be awkward, and I want to connect with people, and I want to make friends, and I want to be a good member of society. I want to be productive, and I want to be social, and I'm slowly doing it, and I'm slowly changing for the better. And yeah, it's just gonna be a slow and steady process, and it's gonna take time, and I gotta be consistent, and I'm doing it. Yes, I'm pretty satisfied with this vlog now. Yeah. Again, I guess I could talk about the things that still cause me anxiety, that I still need to do, in terms of exposure. I would say a lot of selective mutism things. I feel like that's information that would really clear up where the sweet spot of my exposure therapy, because at the moment my selective mutism is still in place and it still needs to be erased, and it's gonna take time. It's gonna be a little slow, but the more focused and concentrated I am, and the more I get consistent every day in dealing with it and not getting distracted and not wasting my stamina and time, and focusing it on the exposure and the CBT, then it's gonna be faster and smoother. The process is gonna be faster. So that's what I need. And at the moment, there's things that I still need to suffer from, which is Like, I struggle to greet people, I struggle to talk to people, but I know like I can learn, and I can learn fast because I'm on SSRIs, and my PFCs and hippocampus is enlarging in volume. So yeah, I just need to do it, and just need to dive in and do the exposure, and give more time, give more stamina, be more, just do it every day. Because at the moment I'm just not doing it enough. I'm not giving enough time. I'm not doing enough exposure, and I need to break it down to tinier steps, and do it, and just be relentless. And I know I can do it, but yes, at the moment things like are too big. They're not tiny enough. I need to break it down to tinier steps, and just be relentless in doing those tiny steps, because I know I can conquer those, I can master those, and then it's just time. It's just accumulation of those tiny masteries that lead up to the garam thing, like the breathing thing, and then on to the next challenge. But yes, I've also been thinking about going to other like social anxiety support groups, because I feel like that's exposure that I can use and practice that I can use. Yeah, but at the moment it's unclear where I should go and what I'm gonna do there. I don't really have a plan, is the problem, which again, like, I feel like a professional can help me plan out a more experienced, designed plan for my exposure therapy, and then I just need to do it. Like, I know I just need to go out and talk to people, and slowly my amygdala is gonna get rewired, and my PFC and hippocampus is gonna get bigger and better, and it's just rinse and repeat. But yes, I'm a little bit lost in finding my sweet spot, because I know so many things that are still outside of my, like, still too overwhelming, which is like going out, expecting myself to go out and have full conversations is just like skipping 10 levels. It's like so bad, because you need to be aware of the information that I am struggling with symptoms. Maybe I am someone who has selective mutism, you know? And I feel like you need to be aware of it to notice, to know my sweet spot. But yeah, I feel that's kind of enough. A 1 hour blog is a lot of time. And I don't want to take too long. I've covered everything that's important. If I forgot anything important, I'll cover it in the next vlog. Maybe I'll post this somewhere, because that's also CBT and exposure work. I feel like before I would never even think of doing that, but yeah, that's a fear I can conquer with exposure. So I'm gonna post this. There's nothing wrong with that. See, CBT, see, exposure. I'm gonna see how I feel after I post this. Yeah. Again, with selective mutism, I feel like one of the things is I'm afraid of people hearing my voice, because it shows that I'm not mute and that I can talk to people. But the fact is, I'm very socially anxious, and that's what selective mutism is. It's a lot of social anxiety, and it manifests most as you unable to speak. It's a very specific form of social anxiety, but it is covered. It's wrapped as part of social anxiety. And I have it. And I'm gonna erase it gradually and consistently as the least ability. Thank you for listening to this vlog.